What's up, guys? It's TJ, host of the Conscious Health Podcast. So whether you're seeing this as a video or you're listening to this, we are going to talk about astral projection. So I once again astral projected just a few months ago, and this video is long overdue. I should have done this the day after, but of course life happens. I got busy. So anyway, we're going to talk about it today. And maybe you guys have seen my previous video on astral projection, but I do have a video out already on this channel about it, and because I have projected before. So but just a few months ago, I had been practicing for hours and hours. The second I got my daughter down for a nap, I'd be practicing. I'd just be laying in bed and just relaxing my body enough, also keep my mind awake enough that I could be able to have that experience. And so let me briefly explain what astral projection is. If you just popped on this video, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Astral projection is when if you want to call it your soul or your consciousness or just another part of your being, seems to come out of your body while you're still alive. So your body isn't dead, you're alive, except you relax your body so much and you keep your mind awake that essentially your body falls asleep but your mind is still awake. And so similar to sleep paralysis, except that you actually, at least it seems that you leave your body. And so for me, I left my body again. And this happened while I was doing a guided meditation on YouTube, and I'll leave the link below. Because this never happened to me. I've never had a guided meditation on YouTube where it actually led to this experience. Because I've tried it before and it didn't feel like it was my thing. Never really worked, never really got anywhere. I want to do things my own time. So I practiced that for a long time. And I get really close, but just I couldn't get to that point where I could actually get out of my body. I'd feel my body go into paralysis. It would get very still, and it would feel like my soul was just about to get out, but it wouldn't happen. So I practiced for months and months because it has been many years since I first left my body. So first, what I did when I got out of my body is I explored my home, saw where everything was, saw my dog on the floor. And keep in mind that an essential part of the story is knowing that my wife had actually just left with her mom, and they had went to go shopping while I was doing this. And so it gave me a good 3 hours of practice to be able to do this. So anyway, so I floated around. Eventually, I went out of the house. Like I said, I saw cars, I saw people. And it was interesting. There was this figure standing next to my porch. Although he wasn't inside our house, but he was just outside the house. And it was interesting because I went up to him, and I think for some context too, when you're in these other dimensions, whatever you want to call it, the other side, you can see people's energy and color. At least I can when I have this experience. And this certain being, you seem to give off a masculine presence if you want to give a soul a gender. So my guess would be a male, but I guess I'm not really sure because souls don't seem to have genders because that stuff doesn't really matter in this dimension. But anyway, so I saw this being and he didn't seem to recognize me at all, which actually is a common occurrence because the first time I projected, it was just like hearing the ghost stories where some people leave their body and they don't seem to realize that they've actually left, and they get stuck in this kind of limbo state where they're almost trying to relive their life back here on Earth. I think maybe this soul was going through some of that because like I got right in front of, we'll call him a him. I got right in front of him, didn't do anything, didn't seem to acknowledge me, nothing. He was the only other being that did not have a body that I saw in this realm. This time around, I didn't see any other being. I don't know if just because some type of mental projection my soul has, or maybe other beings don't want to be around me. I have no clue, couldn't tell you. So he was the only one I saw. But it's interesting to see that he never went into my house. And so I think that's a lot to do with basically just putting up spiritual boundaries for a home. I know it sounds kind of silly, but when I move into new homes, I will go ahead and bless my home for only the greatest good, for love and peace and joy and whatnot. And it seems to keep out a lot of negative energy unless I bring it in myself. So even though I definitely feel silly sometimes just sitting in my house and speaking those things out loud, but it seems to be working because every time I left my body, I've never seen a negative entity in my house. But anyway, so I floated around. At one point, an interesting experience was And because one of the things I love to do when I do get to leave my body is I love to float, like just super high, see the whole city, how it looks and everything, because the views are spectacular, of course. So I spent a good while doing that. And then I went to go see my wife. And the interesting thing is, so when you're close to somebody, like I've heard people call like a soul connection. I've even heard people say there's like this, if you're married or you love someone, there's like this almost like a what'd you call it, like a string or something connected to two souls. And I don't know, I never saw necessarily a string, but I do know that the second I even just thought about my wife, I was brought to her immediately, and I knew exactly where she was. And so when I was brought to her, she, of course, she couldn't see me because she was in her body and whatnot, but I walked behind her and her mother as they walked through the mall. Keep in mind, I was never told where they were going, definitely not what order of shops they were going to go see. So that's interesting to note. So I walked behind them in the mall. I could it's interesting, you can even see through physical bodies almost. When you're in this soul form, you can almost kind of see their souls, except for the most part, people are oblivious to you. I didn't see no one in the mall that seemed to notice I was there. So that's very interesting. But anyway, so I saw them for a brief second, and then I left them. I came back to my house, and I kept floating around some more. At one point, I stood in the road, and I was just kind of looking around, and I see a car coming. And of course, my first instinct is like, oh shoot, a car's coming, let me get out of the way. Then I remembered what was going on, and so I actually stood in the middle of the road, and the car drove past me, well, through me, or I went through the car, I don't know how you want to put it, but the car drove through me. And it was interesting because I could the driver was I think she was this middle-aged woman, or not, I don't even remember correctly. It's hard to guess because obviously I don't know her exact age, but yeah, she was somewhere between a young woman and a middle-aged woman. Anyway, I could feel all of her emotions, all of her stress. It was a very interesting experience. And I could because when you're in this form, everything is not just talking, me moving my mouth, making sounds. It's all telepathy. It's all feeling. You can really feel people's emotions in this state, and you can get very in tune with their thoughts and what's going on. So anyways, that was an interesting experience. I could just feel everything she was going through that moment. I didn't know any specifics. Not that I really would want to know specifics about everyone, but it was interesting to have that experience just for that brief moment. The other interesting thing is time is very different in this dimension, or in these dimensions, however you want to see it. And so it's hard to say if this felt like just a second, 2 seconds, whatever, but it was a brief moment where I could feel this woman's existence, her soul. So anyway, so she kept driving, and I left that alone. And I would come back to my house periodically, check on my body while I did this, which I just usually do. Usually, the 2 times I've done this, I've never left my body super far, at least not for super long. But yeah, to be in this state of being able to just float around, be free from your body for a little bit is so freeing. It's so amazing. And so after that, the car experience, I wanted to go back and check on my wife again. So I went right to my wife instantaneously, and this time she was in her car. She was riding passenger, and her mother was driving. This is another thing to note for later. And so that was cool. Once again, I could see both what my wife and my mother-in-law were wearing. At least I didn't focus so much on mother-in-law, but I was focused on my wife. And it was cool because I could see what she was wearing. And I could just see that they were talking in the car and whatnot. And so I stayed in the back of the car for what felt like maybe a brief moment, maybe 10, 20 seconds. And then I came back because I wanted to keep flying around. So I floated around for a little bit, checked out the views, just looked at my neighborhood from above. And then within my body, I had to pee. So one good note is if you're ever going to try this, you're going to try astral projection, make sure you go to the bathroom beforehand. So because I had to pee, I had to come back. I went back in my body. I used the restroom. I got back in bed, laid down, which is how I like to do this, just to have your body completely relaxed. I tried to get back in the state, and I just could not leave. That was it. And so that was my amazing experience projecting once again. And I think one astounding lesson that I get every time is not so much that I just want to leave my body and just never return. I just want always projecting and leave. which is ironic because when I'm practicing, that's the goal. I'm like, man, I just want to get this done. I want to be able to just get out of my body again. Such an amazing experience, which it is. It's like the most beautiful psychedelic experience you could ever do. Except one thing it always teaches me is that I choose to be embodied as a human. I choose to live the life I have, and I actually have gained a deeper appreciation for life, for being human, having a human incarnation. So I can definitely attest to the fact that astral projection is super helpful into developing those attitudes about life, a deeper sense of love and connection and appreciation for being a human, for living this life, knowing that this life is not the end. And so it's been very, very helpful. And honestly, I've gotten to the point where now I've done it twice. I'm definitely open to do it again, but I'm also open to the fact if I never do it again, that's completely okay, because there will be a time where I'll do it for the last time. I'll be saying goodbye to this physical meat suit. But anyway, to wrap this up, what made it even cooler was, so once I tried to get back in my body, back out of my body, I was laying in bed, it just didn't happen. I just couldn't get that nice flow state. So I decided just to hang out, walk around, do chores, whatever. Anyway, my wife gets back, and I had those little doubts, like, maybe it was just a dream. Maybe I just kind of had some really light REM sleep, and maybe this is just all in my head. So anyway, so she got home, and I asked my wife, well, where'd you go where was the first place you went for your shopping spree? And she said, well, we went to the mall. And I had gone into that state pretty quickly with this meditation. Like I did the timing, and the mall was just the amount of the time it would take me to get into that state to be able to see her. That was a mouthful, but hopefully you guys can understand that. And so, and then of course I already know what she was wearing, so that was really cool. And then of course I asked her, did you drive the car? Did you ride passenger? And she said I rode passenger the whole time. And so that was cool because it verified to me, like, oh wow, like this is legit, or at least there is something to it. If I was having a good dream, then there's something realistic to it, to where I could be able to know those things. And so, see it how you will, but that was my experience a few months ago, projecting. Now, if you want to learn more about meditation, astral projection, then I actually have a book for you. Stop Waiting for Heaven is a book that I wrote over the course of many years, and it's a part an autobiography as well as a book to helping people to find inner peace by realizing that heaven is not a place that we have to necessarily wait for, or a place that we even have to achieve, but it's a place that already exists within us, outside of us, everywhere. And we've actually just been looking right over it. So my book goes over the knowledge, different concepts or knowledgeable things that we can know to help us to discover this part of ourselves, part of everything, which is heaven. That is our birthright. That is where everything originates. And so the book also goes in depth about meditation, and of course, once you learn to meditate and you have a practice down, you can calm your body enough but also keep your mind attentive enough, then it'll help you to be able to astral project, because astral projection, put simply, is just the ability to be able to let your body fall asleep, keep your mind awake, and to have that experience, whether it ends up being lucid dreaming or leaving your body, whatever it ends up being. And so my book will go in depth about that, as well as sharing many of my personal stories that highlight the amazing experience that we call life. So anyway, that is what I had to share today. Thank you for tuning in, and whether you're watching the video on YouTube or you're listening to this on podcast, make sure to subscribe, like, do all the good stuff so this good news can be shared with other people. And I really hope that this has been insightful for you today, that you can listen to my words and what I have to share, and something clicked for you, something resonated with you. And if you want to get my book, I'll have the link in the description below, so you can go ahead and click on that and you can get it off Amazon. All right, guys, we'll see you. Have a good one.